Hey everyone, and welcome to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
This is a science fiction movie podcast. Every week we get together and talk about a movie that we watched. This week's episode was a winner of a Patreon vote. Every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, our patrons at the $5 tier and up get to vote between 4 films. And the theme for this month, I don't know why, but for some reason Tara talked me into video game-based movies, which...
I think this was your idea.
This was definitely your idea.
Doesn't sound like me.
Yes, it does. It does. Do you want to know why I know? Because it's a terrible idea. And do you know what sort of ideas you get? You get terrible ones.
Prove it.
You agreed to be on the show. There.
Alright, I believe you.
Argument 1. Excellent. But yes, it was 4 video game movies, and because of that, there was really no good choice. There was no good option, not really. However, somehow, the patrons picked what might be the least appealing one out of the 4, and that is the 1999 Wing Commander movie.
This was supposed to be just the filler because we couldn't think of a fourth one.
And yet, here we are. We're here to talk about the Chris Roberts directed. He also wrote it apparently as well.
And has a cameo.
Does it? Oh, does it? I don't know what it looks like. Or did you see his name in the credits? Okay.
And then I looked it up because I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, did it say cameo in the credits?
No, it said like pilot, and I mean there were so many. Like, which one does that mean? Yeah. So I looked it up after.
Okay. Yeah, so Wing Commander was a series of PC games in the 90s. It had a lot of FMV cutscenes. Famously had Mark Hamill and Malcolm McDowell starring in it. I never played them myself. But as I understand it, the sort of games where if you liked like having to like earn money to buy like parts for your ship so you could do bigger like missions and runs and things like that, that's the sort of thing you would do. Did you ever play these?
I did. I think I've played all of them, but my father's we didn't have a lot of video games growing up, but my father's a computer programmer, so we always had computers and we always had computer games. And my brother was really into the Wing Commander series, and they were really well made games. And I remember playing Wing Commander 4 a lot because I especially remember the Malcolm McDowell and Mark Hamill cutscenes, which were, I mean, so many. There's a lot. I mean, a lot of the game is just watching a movie.
Which might beg
but they were really well made games, and they had like this new thing where you can have stars in a video game.
Yeah, they were kind of obsessed with that in the 90s. It was like, hey, we can do video now on a disc or on like a video game. Hence why the PlayStation also had a number of those things, and the Sega CD was a thing. It does beg the question, though, why make a movie about it? Especially since it doesn't sound like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but given what the game is, it doesn't sound like a game where there's, like, obviously there's a story because there's a lot of cutscenes, but it doesn't sound like a game where the story's kind of the main big thing that you'd want to see taken into a movie kind of thing, right?
I mean, I always looked forward to the story parts of the video game, but it was only because of the cutscenes. It was like watching a movie. But I don't know. I guess it just doesn't really translate very well just without the fighting, shooty action part of it that you get to do yourself.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy here, but is there a chance that Mark Hamill and Malcolm McDowell are better actors than Freddie Prinze Jr., Matthew Lillard, and Saffron Burrows? Is there a chance?
Yes, although there are some pretty good actors in this movie.
And small parts.
Although they're way too good to be in this movie.
They're criminally wasted. In fact, I feel like they cast Jurgen Prochnow just so that when they're pretending to be Das Boot at one point, they can go, "Hey, we've got someone from
very Das Boot scenes in this."
Yeah, we've got a Das Boot actor in here. See, we're legit. So the plot of this movie is basically that, and I'll be honest, the plot of this is kind of like, I mean, I remember the gist of the movie because I just watched it like a couple hours ago, but the actual beats of the plot and how each section, like, it's like, okay, this is this part, and this is this part, and this is this part. It does blur together quite a bit because it does feel very samey throughout a lot of it. But basically, there's a war going on between the humans and the Kilrathi. Am I saying that right? Kilrathi.
I've already forgotten what they're called. Kilrathi.
Kilrathi. The alien cat hybrid things. Yes. I didn't even realize they were cat looking until like the last third of the movie when you got like a proper look at them.
Yeah, well, they were always cats in the video game too.
Yeah.
Like lion-looking men, but they look worse in the movie.
But so there's this war going on, and the Kilrathi steal a sat computer thingamajig from this ship before they destroy it, and because of that, they have coordinates on how to get to Earth. And the plot basically is that Freddie Prinze Jr. is this young lieutenant who's just sort of graduated flight school or whatever, and he and Matthew Lillard are given a mission to take this secret coded message explaining what's happened to this other ship with this Tiger's Claw is the name of the ship. And ultimately their goal is to try and get back to Earth quick enough to help defend it, although it also becomes kind of about warning Earth about the incoming attack, because there's not a giant fleet at Earth, and it develops from there a little bit into more specific things that they can actually help with, but they're too far away. But there's lots of wormholes and jump points that they can maybe try and use, and all sorts. And we get this weird backstory about a war, a civil war, if you will, between the humans, between the Federation or whatever they're called, and the Pilgrims. We'll talk about the Pilgrims in a little bit when we get to spoilers. Because I don't know if I said this, but we'll start spoiler free, and we'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers. I should have said that. I don't know if I did. But so I guess I'll just ask the question. I feel like, I mean, it's kind of obvious at this point, but Tara, my esteemed co-host, what did you think of Wing Commander?
Yeah, it's not very good. It's not the worst thing, but it's just kind of boring, and the acting is not very good with the exception of the side characters, but it's so, I don't know, like the plot seems like it's pretty simple, but there's all this like exposition of backstory that is said and not seen. And so it kind of makes things a bit muddy, and I actually found it a bit too complex. And I just had a hard time like keeping track of all the rules of everything now, of the Air Force, and how they treat their dead, and the backstory of the Pilgrims, and there's a lot happening in here that it's just, I don't know, like they just put too much on it, and I don't like it very much. But it's not the worst thing. It's just not for me.
I think that can go on the next Blu-ray release, just in quotations from Tara there. I found it a bit too complex. Tara 2019.
It is. Like, there's so much stuff that, like, I like world building and all, but, like, because they just say everything and they don't show anything, I found it, like, just a bit, I couldn't keep up with it. Or maybe I just didn't want to.
It is overstuffed. I mean, I think you're incorrect in one thing you said there at the end. You said, it's not the worst thing, it's just not for me. I think that is highly incorrect. I think it's got nothing to do with being for you. I think this is a complete garbage movie, full of garbage things, garbage actors, garbage script. It's got garbage space physics. We'll talk about that. But I'll give you one little tidbit here. One little thing I want to point out here at the start is, so they've got like a runway kind of thing right at the side of the ship. This is not unique to this movie. I've seen this in other sci-fi movies where they've got like a runway where there's like a force field at the end where, obviously the keeps out the vacuum kind of thing. Right? That's fine. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all. The two problems I have with this is first of all, anything that's flying out in space shouldn't really necessarily need that much momentum when it comes back through the force field, so it shouldn't really need to have literal a runway, just a place to land, really. more than anything else. But the bigger problem, and this is the one that really irks me and makes me smile, is that when they're leaving this docking bay, right, is what it should be. In any other sci-fi movie, this would be a docking bay, but it's more of a runway here, like an aircraft carrier. When they go running out of the runway and they go through the force field and they go off the edge of the ship to fly out into like a space battle, right? They go down. They go down as if there's gravity, as if they're going off an aircraft carrier. It's space. They wouldn't go down.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Plus, I mean, why do they even need wings?
Yeah, they all have wings.
In
yeah,
space. They look like fighter jets, but like future fighter jets. They look like they should be in an atmosphere. They don't look like they should just be flying through the vacuum of space, especially from the fact that they launch while in space. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing I can forgive that to a point. Like, I can forgive, like, oh, we just want them to look like this. Like,
I mean, they did in the video game too. They look like just fighter jets in space.
It's a bit uninspired, but I can at least kind of like just wave that away. But the actual how they use them is so infuriating. And it's you know what, we're on this topic now. Let's talk about sound. Let's talk about sound in a vacuum. Now, obviously, this is not the only sci-fi movie where sound happens, right? You know, you hear explosions and whatnot. And this movie is particularly aggressive with it. But I kind of let it go because I'm like, okay, other movies do it. I won't really get that annoyed at it. And there's a scene just over halfway. And I won't spoil the context of the scene until we get to spoilers. But there's like a truck that goes out onto the runway to push like a damaged ship off the runway, right? And notably, it's outside the force field, so it's out in the vacuum of space. It's not inside the ship where there's an atmosphere. It's outside the force field where it's meant to be in a vacuum. And they really emphasize in the soundtrack the screeching metal as it's like scraping this thing off the runway. And I'm like, why are you emphasizing this? Stop it.
They're pushing it like it's graphite into reactor floor of the runway.
That reference was so nuclear hot.
I nailed it.
Nuclear hot. That was a Chernobyl reference for anyone who didn't get it. So at that point in the movie, I'm really rolling my eyes and I'm thinking, all right, okay, stop. Like, okay, it's one thing to have some sound in space because you want some impact with the explosions and stuff, but this is really taking the piss. And then it like goes beyond the line that I can, where it actually uses sound as a plot point.
I know.
Where, you know how in like submarine movies,
I texted you this line of dialogue too.
Yes. And I like when I got here, I was like, am I an idiot? Like, do I not understand like sound in space and like radar and things? Because correct me if I'm wrong. So the reason why in a submarine story where they'll all go quiet, right? They'll stop moving, they'll stop the engines, and everyone on board will try and be as quiet as possible, is because radar uses sound. Right?
Sonar.
Yes. Sonar uses sound. Yes? Okay, I'm with you. Agree with me. Okay, good.
Because it uses water to do the sonar.
Yes, but it is
some
relying...
kind of medium, not a vacuum. So
yes, it's relying on sound though for it. But this movie treats its radar as if they're using sonar because they're all hiding. They're in like a camouflage ship at one point, and someone says something, and like, the admiral or the captain or whoever says, "Shh, there's a destroyer hunting us." And I'm like, why are you whispering? You're in space. It won't travel through space. It's a vacuum, you fool.
They could literally be having like a disco party, like on
I know.
like in Star Trek Discovery, and the enemy ship would not hear them.
No,
they're in space.
They're in space. The sound will not travel to the other ship. It's not how it works. Like, yes, don't get me wrong. I get the idea of cloaking and like, so obviously, like if you're sending out communication signals, that's something that can be tracked. So you turn off that. You turn off the comms. I get why you turn those things off because that's detectable. But I laughed so hard when he went, "Shh, that's a destroyer on this."
This is the Das Boot scene, right?
This is the Das Boot scene. They even have Jürgen Prochnow from Das Boot, like in this very scene, and all I could think was, "This is not underwater. It doesn't work this way. We're in space."
I know it's super dumb, and it's kind of insulting too, because
Mm-hmm.
you think somebody would have been like, "Hey, this is how that would actually work in space, right?" And I can just hear like Chris Roberts saying, "It's all right, the audience won't know."
Yeah, obviously, there's tons of things in every movie set in space that don't scientifically hold up, that NASA would watch and like roll their eyes at and laugh. But here's the thing: this is layman space stuff. This is like something we all know.
Yep.
This is straightforward. So no, movie. You don't get away with this. Wing Commander can lick my hairy ass because it is commit the cardinal sin, and I will not have it. But it was pretty funny. So. So and we have bad acting. It's Freddie Prinze Jr. Like, I mean, yes, I'll get it out of the way. He is married to Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is, of course, from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
She was in this movie too.
Was she?
Yeah, the poster that he has in his room is one of Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm surprised he didn't notice.
I did not notice that actually.
I
Really?
think that was her.
I'll have to go back and check after. I did not notice.
I'm gonna look it up.
You look it
I
up.
thought that was her. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Well, do you know what's so funny if that is her? Is that that's not the only time she's made like a weird cameo in a way in one of these movies. Did you ever see She's All That with Freddie Prinze Jr.?
No.
Well, that was a movie where he took the nerdy girl and turned into a prom queen, but he actually fell for her over the way. It was it was a teen chick flick, but
I probably would really like that.
they shot it at the same high school that Buffy was shot at, so she happened to be around. So she's just in like one of the cafeteria scenes, just there. Like she gets handed like a pizza or something like that at one point, and that's it. But it's one of these weird things where you go, wait, was that Buffy? What the hell? Why was she in like a cameo? And it's like, oh, it's because they shot it at the same high school. She literally probably just sauntered into the room and said, "Hey, can I just sit in the background for this shot?"
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I can't find it, but I swear that was her.
I'll corroborate it. I'll corroborate when we go on a break. I'll corroborate it, and we'll come back and I'll be like, "Yeah, Tara was right,"
Oh, that sounds good.
or Tara was wrong, perhaps. I mean, it could go either way. We'll see. But yeah. So we have Freddie Prinze Jr., who is pretty terrible. He, it's not been that long since me and Tim did I still know what he did last summer, and he is like, this is like right after that. He's still very much in that mold. He's sort of standing there, mouth agape, pretty much all the time, kind of confused by what's happening. His emotional range.
I'm not really
is...
sure why Hollywood wanted to make him a star so bad. He's just kind of blah.
Yeah. Matthew Lillard, well, he has done a couple of notable things that have not been bad over the years. Typically, this era of Matthew Lillard's pretty painful to sit through.
Well, I mean, at least he does something. He's not just like a wet blanket in a spacesuit. Like,
I mean, he's annoying and he's terrible, but yes, he does do something. What he does is completely it's like careless and reckless, but he does do something. That's true.
well, men will do stupid things for women.
No comment. And then Saffron Burrows is there, who I know mainly from Deep Blue Sea, and she also.
That's the other thing I know from.
Yeah, she also can't really act. She couldn't really act in that movie either, but it didn't really matter as much in that movie. In this movie, she's like one of the three who's trying to like toe the line, and it doesn't work.
No, she's supposed to be. She is the wing commander, right? She's supposed to be this hardened, no nonsense woman who keeps everybody in line, but her character just makes some confusing choices, and she is also kind of a wet blanket in a spacesuit. I mean, a beautiful one, but that's about it. She's not a lot of personality.
No, she's not, and she's got this weird thing. I actually checked because she's got this weird accent, and she is from England. Because I was curious, because like both this and Deep Blue Sea, she's got this kind of weird voice, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if she's trying to like clean it up for like the rest of the audience maybe or something. But she comes across with this weird stilted accent. It's very weird, bizarre. I don't get what she's doing.
I don't know.
Something
I
about
didn't even know that it was British.
well, that's a case in point. Case
I
in
couldn't
point.
tell.
What did you think she was then, if not British?
I don't know, some European Transylvakistan. I don't know.
You're so American right now. um, despite the fact that you're actually Canadian, but I mean that's neither here nor there. Uh, yeah, the cast are really rough. I mean, you have some obviously like Jurgen Prochnow and a couple other guys who are, David Warner's in there, who yes was in both Star Trek V: The Final Frontier and Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, playing two different roles.
Don't let it end this way.
He was
Sounds
also
like Gorkon.
he was also I mean I grew up knowing him from two things. Uh, Mainly Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze, just for the record.
I've seen it. Yeah, those are kind of sci-fi.
Eh, yeah, they're mutants made by ooze. Yeah. You gotta argue we should do some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies at some point?
It could be a fun franchise.
Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go! That is the only Vanilla Ice track you'll ever hear me attempt to sing.
Dun, 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 dun. No.
No.
Ice, ice, baby. All right.
Oh, you're showing your age right now. Just a little bit.
So are you, Mr. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
One thing I do want to talk about before we get to spoilers, though, is visual effects, which have not held up very well in the past 20 years.
There is some miniature work, though, that's not too bad. But then they have, like, the CGI explosions and stuff over top of it. And I'm like, oh, well, that looks bad.
Yeah, the CGI explosions look really, really rough. There's definitely... You could tell that it came right after, or right around the same time as The Matrix, right? Because there's like one little sort of bullet time scene. But it's only one little bit, and it makes me
as smooth as The Matrix. And for some reason, the cameras had the flash going.
Yeah.
When they did it.
What's weird is that this came out in the same year as The Matrix, and I can't help but feel that The Matrix came out earlier, and this might be wrong. You know what? I'm going to check what month this came out. But like, I can't help but feel that Matrix came out, or not even came out. I wonder if they heard about it, like because industry insiders like, hey, we heard that this movie over at Warner Bros is doing this thing, and I wonder if they tried to replicate, and that's why it's only in one scene. So they tried to replicate it, and so
maybe they did it during reshoots.
Actually, this came out in March, so I actually think this came out before Matrix. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Matrix was the summer movie, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it'd have to be really early to beat March. So, that is interesting. Again, my stance in this is that they heard about it from inside leaks and tried to replicate it without seeing it, and this is why it looks much worse.
It looks so bad.
Yeah, it's when they're going through like a wormhole or something like that. There's like this weird like freeze effect. So you get Matthew Lillard.
The Matrix, the way they're able to do the bullet time, for anyone who doesn't know, is that they do 360 cameras all lined up, and when each one goes off at the same time or in like succession, but like
milliseconds,
milliseconds of each other. So the effect is that you get this really cool, slow down 360 view of a shot of like Trinity jumping in the air about to kick somebody or whatever. Keanu Reeves dodging bullets. But in this one, it's only like it's only like half, like a 180, and it's really like herky jerky. And for some reason, it gets really bright, like all the cameras have the flash on. And it just looks like an amateur attempt to create what the Matrix does flawlessly.
Yeah, weird to say the least.
Yeah,
I don't know, because the big thing with the Matrix is not so much that I mean, I don't know if you can get a camera with a frame rate. Certainly in 1999 it could go quite that high, but the bigger problem was actually the movement. The bigger problem was like, how do you get it to move around them that quick to get the 360 kind of, you know, movement of the camera. Because I remember from the making of stuff, like they had conversations about putting a rocket on the camera to make it go around quick enough and like crazy shit like that. And then someone said, how about we just use a bunch of still photographs and just have them all timed. So that's the reason why you would still do it that way today, is that there's just no way to have the camera go around them that quickly during the moment. But yeah, I don't get it. It's such a weird moment as well, because it's literally just like the bowl of cereal that's on the table is like sort of like kicked up in the air, so there's like milk kind of like mid splash, like that's the big action thing that happens during the bullet time. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not very good. It really kind of takes you out, like, ooh, this movie was not ready for that effect. Yeah. No.
So I mean, that's basically the spoiler-free thoughts. I guess, you know, they add on a lot of backstory about, like I said, about the pilgrims and stuff, and how there's kind of this prejudice against them, which ultimately doesn't really ever go anywhere. Doesn't really feel that important.
I think it's just a way to make the movie more like Star Wars, like adding a Force element to it, something magic.
That's right. Yes. How could I forget? The pilgrims have a special ability where they can just
we'll save it for spoilers on what it is.
Yeah, true. Okay, we'll save it for spoilers what it is. But let's just say they've got a special ability, and it. This is one of these things where it felt so tacked on. When we got the exposition scene where the character sits down and explains that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Really? We're doing this? Huh?
I don't remember that being part of the video games, but it's been a long time since I've played any of them.
I mean, hell, are the characters in this even based on characters in the games? Like,
yeah, I mean, Mark Hamill played the Freddie Prinze Jr. character. Yeah, I think all of them were from the video game. I think,
okay.
Yeah, Angel and maybe Matthew Willard. I don't know exactly. I know, like the Das Boot guy is in the video game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't think pilgrims were magical in the game. I don't remember any magic.
Yeah. I mean, it's subtle magic in the sense it's just like, you know, like a sense thing as opposed to like.
It's not. There's a line in it that explains why it's not magic.
Quite right. So yeah, with that said, I guess it's time to go into spoilers. Before we do that though, Tara is going to explain to you how you can support us over at Patreon.
Why, sure. If you like what we do and you want to support us and get a bunch of bonus material, you can go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MalfuzzTV, and donating as little as $1 per month will get you bonus episodes of The Ace. You can check out our back catalog of like 4 or 5 movies that we've done, including Judge Dredd, Time Cop, which is way too good to be on that list, and Leviathan. We've done Trancers.
Wing Commander should be one of the bonus episodes. Wing Commander should not be a regular episode.
Yeah, I think the other movies that were on the list of possible video game movies for Patreon probably are going to go to a Patreon special
at some point. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go back on a vote for the regular channel.
Yeah. By the time this goes out, though, we should have another one up. Bonus episode, that is, for patrons. Trancers 2 should be out by the time this goes up.
Mm-hmm.
So, look forward to
So if you want to go through the franchise with us of Trancers.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, Tara, but I can't wait to see the next adventure of Jack Death.
I forgot that name. Yeah.
Jack Death.
That guy is crazy cool.
And Helen Hunt. Young Helen Hunt.
Yeah, she's back for the second one, right?
She's in the third one as well, I think.
All right.
So.
Yeah, those two had a lot of chemistry, so.
Let's
see where they go.
Spoilers then! We got spoilers, and I mean, Movie starts with ship being attacked by the Kilthraki, and I keep wanting to say Dothraki. What's Dothraki from? That's another sci-fi thing.
Game of Thrones.
Is it? I don't even watch Game of Thrones. Why do I know Dothraki?
You watched the first season.
You're right. I did. I watched the first season, but
that was like the Dothraki season. I mean, they sort of show up throughout the series, but that was like the main Dothraki season.
Okay, all right. Well, the Kilthraki just attack this ship, blow it up, but at first they steal the warp drive thing or the sat nav. Well, I can't remember what they called it, but it was along those lines. So they get coordinates for Earth, and the captain just gets a message off to David Warner, and David Warner sends this message to Freddie Prinze Jr. on a floppy disk, on a zip drive, even, because it's the year 2643, but we're still using zip drives.
Hey, if it ain't broke.
Yeah, if it ain't broke. I mean, I make fun of that.
Like you got a Kilraki on your lap there.
Yes.
Watch out. It's our mortal enemy.
Humans, I am here to take over. I want all the catnip. Yes. I am Firefly, and I will eat you all.
We're here for your resources of tuna fish.
For the audio listeners, I have a cat in my lap, and that's all. Yes.
Can I show Gus?
You can show Gus. Look, you getting cat jealous. Yeah, I need to show off my cat now too.
Look at him. He's so ferocious. He's going to kill all humans.
For the audio listeners, he's lying asleep on his back with his paws up in the air. It is the most adorable thing ever. So there's an ironic touch to Tara's voice work here. I will kill you. I will kill you all humans. Yes. Okay. There you go, cat.
It's pretty cute.
All right, so that's all their mission is to deliver this message to the captain of the Tiger's Claw, and then the EXO. I don't know if that's the exact thing they called him, but Jurgen Prochnow is the second command. I'm assuming he's the EXO. Just going by normal terms.
I don't know. I think they use Air Force terms, but I don't really know.
Well, they wanted to be a submarine movie later, so I'm using EXO. I'm using EXO.
I don't know. Maybe they did Navy stuff, but I always imagined them as being like the future Air Force, but Space Force.
Well, an actual aircraft carrier, does that count as Navy or Air Force?
Yeah, well, no, the Navy has like the Blue Angels and the jets that you see. Yeah, those are always Navy, but like Top Gun is Navy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I remember this being like, maybe I'm thinking of the game still, but being like Air Force, whatever. EXO is fine.
Yes.
Who cares?
Jurgen Dasput, we'll just call him Dasput. So Dasput is also there, and this cat is getting on my nerves. He keeps jumping up. He's not allowed up on the desk next to the keyboard, and he keeps trying his luck. Yeah, I see you, Kilthraki. Try it again, see what happens. So we get the first sign of this prejudice that happens, where Freddie Prinze Jr. is going around with this pendant, this cross that means he's a pilgrim, or he comes from pilgrims, and we find out that his mother was a pilgrim, but his father fought in the I think it was the Confederation. I think that was what they called it.
I think so.
And Jurgen Prochnow is like completely racist. Like, he's just immediately like, this pilgrim scum, this little half breed. Like, he's saying things like that the whole movie. And as soon as something goes wrong, he's like, I bet he's, betrayed us. He's a traitor. He's saboteur. Like, he's just like all movies doing that. And there's no real payoff, because I think you expect there's going to be a moment where Jurgen Prochnow like respects him by the end of the movie, where he shakes his hand and goes, "You know what? I was wrong. You're an honor. It's an honor to serve with you." But he never does. There's never that moment at all.
Mm-mm.
Jurgen Prochnow never learns his ways. Not really.
Not really. Maybe they were saving it for the sequel.
Oh yeah, Wing Commander 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, that came out. So much fun.
Hmm.
So from here, like they want to try and get back to where or near Earth or something like that, and there's no easy way of doing this. Like they're 25 days away or something like that. Versus the Kilthraki who are 6 days away. I don't know. I can't remember the numbers, but it was something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And so the captain of the small ship that Fred Prinze Jr. was on, he's a Taggart, which is a very Scottish name. In fact, there's a Scottish character, David Warner's like guy who keeps like doing his commands is Scottish, which isn't that notable. I just laughed because the last movie we did also had a Scottish character. It seems to be kind of an accidental trend here. So so that's Taggart. He like seems very
He must
knowledgeable.
be the engineer, right?
Sure. Yes. Scottish guy's always the engineer. He's always fixing the ship. Yeah.
Something about the Scots. It must be that dwarven engineering.
Just good at fixing stuff, I guess. I don't know. I'm not. No, don't ask me to fix things. I don't know how to do shit. But as a people, I think we know how to fix things. So he's very knowledgeable at space and going through wormholes, and it kind of shows us that Freddie Prinze Jr. is kind of good at it as well, because but before they get to this ship, they have to go through a wormhole to get there, and he kind of like does it without the computer. And it's like, no, he's like a prodigy. He knows what he's doing. He's got this instinct.
Right. Use the Force.
Use the Force, the Pilgrimage Force, which we find out is basically a thing. That the Pilgrims could navigate and do complex things. Like all the computers we use now to navigate, Pilgrims could just do that in their head. They're this magical being. Yeah. They could just do it. They could just wing it.
Yep. It's not magic though. It's genetics.
Oh dear.
That's a real line from the film. They've got midichlorians.
That's basically what that is, yeah. But this is the thing. This is the same year as The Force Awakens. Somehow this movie's hitting all these beats.
Of the Phantom Menace.
Sorry, Phantom Menace. Sorry, you're right. Sorry, Phantom Menace. But somehow this movie's hitting all these beats from all the other films that came out in 1999. It's got a shitty version of Bullet Time. I wouldn't say it's a shitty version of midichlorians because they're equally kind of shitty, but like.
You're right. I think maybe Chris Roberts had like an insider, an inside guy.
Yeah, so we've heard about this Bullet Time. Also, I got a sneak peek at the next script for Star Wars. Do you want to copy? Because Star Wars is going to be a big hit, right? No one's going to have a bad thing to say about the next Star Wars movie.
Not when it came out.
But I don't think there's been more people in denial at the same time than right after the Phantom Menace came out.
Yeah.
Not the worst prequel though. I'll maintain that.
Yeah. I mean, the pod racing scene's pretty good.
Attack of the Clones is like 3 of the most boring hours of my life, and I'm not willing.
Revenge of the Sith is just so rage-inducing that it's the worst in my mind.
I can accept.
I'll take boring over just what? That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't even line up to the original.
I don't think I would. I think I would take at least the one that's making me angry over the one that's just boring me as much as Attack of the Clones did. But that's a personal choice.
I don't think that's true at all because you rated Salvation higher than Terminator 3.
But Terminator 3 also made me more angry.
I know. You said that it's worse to have something that's boring rather because at least if something's anger inducing then it's more fun to watch.
Oh sure, but like Salvation wasn't like completely boring, no. There was some things in there.
No, it's actually kind of watchable.
Yeah, I mean, there's levels to this.
You're right.
Don't take one statement and apply it to every example ever to make me look like a fool.
That's my job as co-host.
Oh, fine. On guard, right?
I will fight.
On guard. I'll say things. Is on guard French? It sounds French.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
much like our paladin character.
Yes. Much like your paladin, Taggart. Yes.
Yes.
I love that. I love how the Scottish sounding guy is French. That's whatever. Um,
He speaks a French line,
he
like
does.
"Au revoir, mes amis" or something. I don't know. Before he shoots rockets.
You can't tell me
We'll get to
that James Taggart sounds French though.
it. No, it does not.
My name is James Taggart. I am from
I'm
France.
Teguer or Teguer. James Teguer.
My name is James Taggart, and I like vol-au-vents and croissants.
I like red wine, baguette, croissant, and I hate Americans. They're so pompous.
James Taggart. That wasn't even a French accent.
Teguer,
I don't know what I was doing there.
the Frenchman.
He is he recommends let's go through this portal, this wormhole thing, and the captain's like, but that's crazy. Like, and Jurgen Prochnow comes in, he's like, yeah, that's crazy. No one's done that in like decades, and even then, that was filthy pilgrims. That wasn't us. That was pilgrims. Telegraphing, of course, the fact that there's going to be a reveal later that this Taggart is also a pilgrim, and reveals it to Freddie Prinze Jr. And it's like a nothing moment that doesn't mean anything, and no one cares.
They have the same best friend necklace. They can connect.
Which has
Besties.
it has like a knife that pops out, because at one point he's playing with it and it like goes ting, and like a little
Yeah.
like,
It's actually a super sweet weapon. Pew,
yeah,
for punching.
these pilgrims are rough. You don't want to mess with them. They're all
Yeah.
they're all packing.
Maybe that's why everyone hates them.
Maybe. Although apparently they lost the war because they're very much the hated minority now. So
Yeah.
I
Maybe
don't know.
they're pirates.
So they go through the big portal. But it's worth mentioning before we even get to what's once they go to the portal, because the portal's when the bullet time moment happens. Is that we have glossed over all of the sort of the entrance of Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard joining this crew as two of the pilots, and all the shit that goes along with that, where Matthew Lillard is just awful in every possible way.
Infatuated with a pretty lady.
Yes, multiple pretty ladies. He eventually settles on one who fights with him a little bit, but there's an attraction.
Well, they have matching bleached hair, so
That
it was
is
meant
true.
to be.
It's meant to be. So yes, Forbes is the lady in question, and they kind of bond. But we see how the rest of the crew basically react when they see Freddie Prinze Jr.'s like pendant. They're like, "Whoa, you're a pilgrim," and they just don't want to trust him anymore. And we also learn that if someone dies on the ship, they have this rule where they just pretend they never existed, which seems very unhealthy to me from a therapy point of view.
Yeah. Instead of closure, let's just close that part of our brain to any memory.
Yes. Which all comes back to a wonderful head, because there is like one small mission at one point where they all go out in their ships and they come back, because it ends with Matthew Lillard and someone else doing like flips at the end. Like they're actually in the runway and they're upside down.
Yeah,
and they both flip, so they're kind of competing with each other. But the big
really
one
stupid.
It is really stupid. But the big one that happens though is they go out for this big mission where they're having to keep track of things as if it's falling apart on Tower's End. They have to keep track of this big alien ship. They're kind of like sneaking around the Kilraki, and they so all the ships go out and they're going after these like small ships in the distance, and it's actually Taggart who's like, hey, this is a trap. They're luring us out here. These ships that we're going after aren't big deals. These are like convoy ships. This is a trap so that the main ship, the Tiger's Claw, will be unprotected so they can attack it. And Sathrin Burrows, who's the wing commander, is like, no, like you're just a civilian. I'm not taking orders from you. And then he's like, no, actually, I'm actually a pretty high up in the Navy. Here's my designation. Blah blah. So it's a big reveal. It's like, yeah, he's got a record. Mm-hmm. He's high ranking, so she follows his order, and they come back, and we get sort of the big main pilot fight scene of the movie where everyone's like darting around and shooting their guns and whatnot. Of course, all of which have audio. Of course they do. Nothing but sound in space. But here's where we get to the big part where Matthew Lillard and this Forbes character, he basically goes, sir, they're ordered back to the ship because at this point all the little Kilthraki ships are all retreating, right? All the little raiders are retreating. And I'm calling them raiders because they reminded me of raiders from Battlestar Galactica. That's just a thing. But
a lot of this is kind of like Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
A lot of the feel is, I think.
Yeah, it's a ship version of it, but yeah.
That one, Battlestar is obviously better, and I haven't seen very much of it, but yeah. I don't know. If I were going to compare it to anything, if somebody asked me, what's Wing Commander like? I would say kind of like Battlestar Galactica Future.
Yeah. I loved how you saw that I was mid-drink, and instead of covering and talking while I was drinking and clearly was going to take a few seconds to finish, you waited until I'd finished and was about to start speaking before you started talking again.
No. There's a delay.
The delay's not that long. It's like a second long delay. That was like 5 seconds of me like struggling to finish my drink so I could keep talking, and then you just wait until I'm done and then start your next sentence.
Why not drink in between shows?
Tara's in a mood tonight, guys. I'm trying my best.
I had a long day at work.
I am trying my best to keep this jovial. I really
had a long day of work, and then I had to watch Wing Commander.
That's not my fault. Blame the patrons. That's not on me. It's the patrons.
I do blame the patrons.
Yes.
I mean, I love them all. And if they want to punish me, all I want to say is, I'm sorry for whatever I did. I hope you express yourselves in other ways in the future. Like, send an email to MFTV questions as to what you're upset about, why you want us to watch terrible movies.
Because our pain brings them joy. I think that's something we've established. I will say right now, there's a neck and neck race in the horror movie vote for streams this month, and it's actually tied up because I was really angry at first because something I really didn't want to win was winning, and now it's actually tied with something else, and I'm like, yes, come on, patrons, come on,
don't let me down.
Vote the right way. Oh, so tense behind the scenes watching those votes go up. It's fun for us this month though because all the options were actually quite good. so we're
for the Ace this month, yeah, definitely.
So we're just sitting back and watching the votes for Jurassic Park, Star Wars, RoboCop, and Planet of the Apes come in.
Yeah, all movies that we want to watch. So
yeah,
whatever. Surprise, Star Wars isn't winning, but that's okay.
You can't tell them that.
What? This is going to go up after that.
Well, hold on. This week's got Terminator Genesis, and then a week after that is that, and then it's so close. This goes out on like the last day of the month.
Everybody, sign up for Patreon at the $5 level. And vote for Star Wars.
No, please sign up for $5 tier and then vote for something that isn't Star Wars. Oh dear. Anyway, so
you guys know what to do.
Yeah, that's what you get. You froze for your insubordination.
How dare you? It's just the AI turning against me.
Can we remind everyone who is the wing commander of this show?
I think they all know. Look at me. I'm the wing commander now.
So anyway, this is the point where Matthew Lillard, despite the fact that they're brought back to the ship, they're chasing the little ships, the little alien ships, he's like, hey, let's take some out. I want to take some out. So they pursue and shoot, and first of all, Forbes is like, hey, look at this, and she sort of does this fancy little thing where she sort of dodges and then shoots them down. It's like, hey, beat that. So then he's already been really, really immature by like goading her into this like against orders little extra fight. He then goes to show off completely, sort of flies into one of them without firing for the longest time, and she's tailing him, and then she gets hit. and he has to guide her back to the main ship and guide her into the runway. But of course, she loses complete control because her ship's screwed up, and she dies. She just dies right there and then. The ship explodes, she hits the runway, and she's dead. And like everything after this, every moment with Freddie Prinze Jr. like holding on to him, saying, "Hey man, she's a trained pilot. She knew what she was doing." I'm like, don't give him an out. This is his fault. This is completely his fault. No.
I mean, they were both being pretty immature, and both of them did the whole flippy thing inside of a starship, like super dangerous.
No, I'm not saying
at the beginning of the movie.
I'm not saying it's not also her fault. I'm saying
they both learned a very hard lesson.
No. Only he learned a hard. No, he learned a hard lesson. She is dead and gets away with it essentially.
So when Angel like pulls out the gun to shoot him in the head, were you rooting for her to do it?
Yeah, I was like, come on, Burroughs, make up for that.
Pull it.
I was like, make up for that shitty acting by popping Matthew Lillard square on the forehead. Go on.
That would be brutal.
Do you know what's the weird thing about it is though? Is that Matthew Lillard, after like getting a little pep talk from her to go back out for the big final fight, just kind of disappears to the point where before he pops back up at the end when Freddie Prinze Jr. gets back and he hugs him, I actually was questioning in my head, did he die in that final big fight? And I didn't notice because we hadn't seen him or heard from him in like 20 minutes, and I was like,
yeah.
Did he die? What happened? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean he does go kind of catatonic for a little bit.
Yeah, but his absence is after that.
His character's been hurt.
Yeah,
it's a real dramatic role for Matthew Lillard.
Maybe if you don't want to have the love of your life die, maybe don't put them in extremely stupidly dangerous situations that they don't need to be in. Just a thought.
Hey, every teenager or young adult feels that they're invincible.
Stop making excuses for Lillard. Stop it. Can't be having it. So so it's after this actually. They get bombarded with one of the big ships. They take a couple of big hits to their shields, and they end up having to camouflage in the crater. And this is where we get this excellent moment where they have to be quiet so they won't be detected.
Shh! There is a destroyer hunting us.
Oh, it's so stupid. And then eventually they come across another ship that they think they can board, and they kind of have to because they need the fuel. So they actually storm it, and we get like a scene of them actually in like the marine outfits, like going through the ship with their guns, and it's very quick. It seems very easy for what they're doing. I don't know. It didn't feel like it had enough impact for what it should be. But they actually find where they're going. They get the exact coordinates for where they're heading when they're going to attack Earth. And if they can get that information to Earth Fleet, then they can be prepared as soon as they jump through and just annihilate them. That's it, you're done. And that's kind of what the movie becomes about. It becomes about Freddie Prinze Jr. because the big ship's too big to go through the fleet. So the idea is that one little fighter pilot can actually get through, sneak through, jump through the portal, and get the information to the rest of the fleet. And that's kind of the big last hurrah.
But how will they navigate?
Through pilgrim magic powers. That's how.
It's not magic. It's genetic.
Like.
So good.
I can't think of a genetic disease. I wanted to say something really funny there, but I couldn't think of a disease. We shall move on to... so Freddie Prinze Jr. does his thing. Saffron Burrows gets stuck in the asteroids or whatever. Left presumably for dead. She's like, no, I'm giving you an order, Lieutenant. You have to go and finish this mission. Don't save me. And she actually does end up getting saved. He gets through the portal. He has to like lure one of the big Kilthraki ships into like a gravity hole or something, whatever he called it. And then the Earth fleet win because they get the coordinates, and that's it. And Freddie Prinze Jr. goes back to the ship because he finds out Saffron Burrows is still alive. And was it just me, or did this kiss between them come out of nowhere?
It was bizarre. I mean, they sort of showed like this little flirty scene between them when she wasn't able to move, and I thought that was out of place. And then And then them kissing at the end was just like, I just don't, no, not buying the chemistry.
Yeah, no chemistry. I never felt like it was really hinting at that throughout the movie, in all honesty.
No, not till the very end.
Yeah, no, that felt weird. And honestly, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character for his only thing is when he's asking Taggart about everyone's hated me for being a pilgrim my whole life and I don't know why. And then we get a big exposition dump as to who the pilgrims were, and it never really feels like it gets capped off. There's never a payoff to it.
No, I mean, I guess him being able to pilot the ship is supposed to be the payoff, but it doesn't really feel like much. I don't know.
It never feels like the other characters like accept him, you know?
Yeah.
We did miss. There's a scene actually about. It's before Forbes dies at some point. That where after some damage is taken in the ship, the space door, you know, the what do you call it, what do you call the exterior door in a ship?
The hatch? I don't know.
Oh. Oh god, it's gonna bug me.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Like the airlock.
The airlock, thank you. Yes, the airlock. That's what I'm looking for. Right, so the airlock is like lying open, right, and they're getting sucked, you know, vacuum style. And for some reason, it doesn't seem to be affecting people at the other end of the room, just ones that are close to the door. But Freddie Prinze Jr. is getting.
There's another force field we don't see.
I don't know. But Freddie Prinze Jr. is getting sucked in, and he just grabs like something on the floor, just in the nick of time, so he doesn't get sucked out. And like Matthew Lillard has to like convince the other pilots to want to help him because they're just like, he's a pilgrim, just let him die. Like that's basically their attitude. But he convinces them to help.
Pretty cool.
And we have this scene of them all pulling them in with a wire, and it's whatever. Like, you know. I thought.
I mean, at least you get to see Matthew Lillard get injured.
True.
He's got like a cool little thing where he wraps a wire around his waist, and because he's being pulled through the airlock, there is some damage that is done to him because of it. Like for a movie that just ignores science, like that seemed like something they would ignore, but they didn't. He got really injured from that, like coughing up blood and stuff. And then for some reason, the rest of the crew is pulling them in, and they're all like really concerned about saving them. And then once they bring them, they're like, "All right, you guys got it from here," and then just walk away, even though they're both like super injured. Like call sick bay. Why is everyone just moving on?
Yeah, the movie literally just ends with Saffron Burrows being like carted away in a stretcher after the kiss, and that's it. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yep, you don't want any more of this. You know you don't. So let's just go home. Leave the theaters. Get the hell out of there. That's the movie. Like, I guess I agree. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's like so thoroughly in the really bad territory of like just being stupid, having bad acting, having plot threads that don't pay off, having very little in the way of a character arc for the main character, and so on and so forth, that it is just kind of a mess. It's just a mess of like random sci-fi tropes and ideas that you've seen before, done better in other things, or you've seen better since at the very least. And
yeah,
that's just all
the
it
aliens
is.
don't look good either. They just look like, I mean, they look like cats, but they don't look very good.
And it's hard not to think of Klingons when they start talking and it's like another different language and they get subtitles. It's hard not to think of Klingon.
I was thinking that they shouldn't have brought guns. They should have brought like laser pointers to beat the cat in. Bunch of balled up receipt papers.
No, you just get a bunch of cardboard boxes. Cats love boxes. They're enamored with them. My own Kilthraki is back in my lap, for the record.
Mine, I'm trying to distract with a toy because he's decided he's done sleeping.
So trouble is coming, is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm trying to keep him away from the door with this. His one weakness.
His one weakness. You've got a lot of weaknesses, don't you, Firefly? Yes. One of them's when I scratch both sides of your head like this. Oh, you love it. You love it. His eyes shut. It's great.
See, that's how you defeat the Kilraki.
Just got him tickle the chins. Just tickle the chins.
Yeah.
Right, I know you've got as good, you're dead to rights, Mr. Kilthraki, but can I just try something? It's going to involve getting close to you. I just want to try something to see if it can sort of bring peace between our two peoples. Let's try it. Tickle the chin. Oh, that's so good. That's it. How did we never think of this? How did we never think of doing this to each other? Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, you know what? We won't kill you. You can stick around. Just tickle our chins once in a while.
Yeah. They just have to turn the temperature way up in this ship and have a lot of flat surfaces for the cats to lie down on.
That's a good point.
And then the war's over.
We never get to see where they sleep either, do we? We never get to see, like, do they have little cat beds where they just sort of snuggle up?
Oh, they're so cute.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, the movie sucks though. I like it's full of like this. The science is worse than most Hollywood movies. And it's one thing for it just to have the sound, but to actually bring it up as a plot point and use it is unforgivable. Unforgivable.
Yeah, I guess. Not. I don't know. I don't know what movie I was hoping the patrons would pick, but for some reason I didn't think it would be this.
Well, this is what we got. This is what we got. Yeah. What? And it's because
I really thought they were going to go for like Assassin's Creed or something.
It's because they picked this that we specifically picked a lot of good movies for the next four. Because like, oh well, we can't falter now. Now there's no way they can let us down. So that is basically it. I don't know if I have much more to add. Tara, would you like to rate Wing Commander?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't love this movie. I don't hate it either. It's just not. It's not very good, but it is kind of fun to watch how bad it is in a way. Because it is kind of a mess, but it's not. I don't know. I think it's a 4, which seems kind of generous, but I think 3 might be too low because it's still kind of watchable. It's just not good. I can't recommend it, you know.
I think I have to go with a 3.
Oh, that's pretty low.
It's a pretty shit movie. I mean, can you say anything actually good about it? Can you give it a compliment?
There are some good actors in it, and they do, you know, they act really well for the dumb things they're saying.
I mean, they're all wasted, but
yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah, there's some good side characters. Or no, actually, that's a lie. There's not good side characters. There's good actors in side roles. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. A 4 and a 3 from us for Wing Commander. Not a good movie. Do not recommend it. Definitely better movies you could be seeing.
I'm not going to recommend it.
And it's so...
Unless maybe if you play the computer games, then check it out, but you probably already have.
Do you know, it's so...
You're old like me.
It's so bad as well in a 1999 way. Like, it feels so 1999.
You can't say that when it's the same year as The Matrix.
No, but I'm not saying everything in 1999 was bad. I'm saying that there was, like, all the stuff that was bad in 1999 has a specific 1999 style of bad. In the same way that something that's bad from, like, 2006 has a mid-2000s kind of feel to it. You know?
All right.
It has this trying to be cool kind of thing, and it wants us to really care about this thoughtful, burdened main character, and he's just, as you put it earlier, such a wet blanket. There's nothing to him. He has very little character. It is very, very bad. So there you go. That is Wing Commander. On your episode of Atomic Cinema Experiment, you can, of course, let us know what you thought of the movie if you've seen it in the comments. You can like and subscribe. Remember to ding the bell so you always get the notifications on YouTube. You can support us, of course, by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you listen to the podcast. It helps people find them, you know, because they recommend it out a bit more if it's got a higher rating, things like that. So make sure you do that. And as Tara so lovingly promoted earlier, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV to support us financially and get some bonuses. But yeah, check out all the stuff we do. Tara, recommend something else we do.
Check out the Star Trek reviews if you're interested in science fiction. Both Peter and Connor are reviewing the second season of Star Trek The Next Generation right now, and you've got the backlog of of the entire original series already. So yeah, that's been fun. Watch. Check it out.
Yeah, yeah. Also, me and Tower are doing classic reviews of the Twilight Zone. You can check out those too.
Indeed.
So yeah.
And Watchmen.
And Watchmen.
If you enjoy our HBO reviews, we're doing the Watchmen right now.
We are.
We haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be great.
Well, I loved how you phrased that in a tense where it sounds like we are already doing it. Because by the time this goes up, we will have done a couple of episodes already. So
yeah.
Very good. Very good, Tara. Since that's your name now, apparently.
I'm a pro.
Yeah. But yeah, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. In fact, I did tell you what's coming next week, don't I?
Oh yeah, it's a cartoon.
It is a cartoon. Tara, why don't you tell them what we're doing next week? Because you tricked me into it.
Yes, we are doing a Disney time travel movie called Meet the Robinsons.
What have I let myself in for?
I forgot to mention that it was animated.
Yes, she very much did. I feel
It's time travel.
Yeah, I don't know if we've got time this week, but I really feel like we should try and go a Mystery Science Theater to go along with that. I've got a sneaking suspicion that'll be a shorter conversation than normal.
We should probably watch Laser Blast.
We should watch Laser Blast.
We've been promising it for a while.
We have been, yeah. You heard it here, folks. Laser Blast is coming soon, hopefully next week. So let us know what you thought of the movie, blah, 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 all that other stuff that I said before. You can, of course, check us out. Get us on the Twitters at the Ace Podcast. And that's about it. That about covers it. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching sci-fi movies, guys. And computer, add salsa.
Yum, yum.